Can you also tell us how you got into mortgages and what your professional background is and how you got to the point where now you're in a position to really get behind other people to do the same?
So started off in the world. My background, went to Rutgers. I was going to law school.
Nice.
Finished that. Got accepted to law school. Then had my daughter,
Oh.
who just turned 11.
Wow.
So ended up kind of veering off from that, working for a very successful law firm for so many years. So that's where a lot of my background kind of all integrates in terms of compliance and risk and making sure the clients understood. A lot of my clients were coming back because of my relationship where it's not a transactional, right? I want to make sure you're taken care of, even on the PI, because the PI from personal injury. And they would get their cases settled, and then they would simultaneously still come to me for recommendations for different real estate agents, mortgage professionals, and stuff like that. And I would refer them out, and then, communications, so on and so forth, sometimes wasn't the best with some partners. Eventually, I was like, dude, you know what? And I started doing my own research, not even to get paid, but just to make sure the clients were good.
Wow.
And eventually, I ended up, saying, this thing isn't really that hard. I think I can probably do this. So I went, took the class, took the exam, passed, started doing it part-time, still running the firm, still really using that as an avenue of exposure and networking and clientele and stuff like that. And then I ended up a few years ago having about 6 months of almost like 46 closings. And I was like, I was doing very, very well at the firm. And I was like, this is pretty cool. I'm like, whoa, this is nice. And the idea of, most importantly, the flexibility too.
Yeah.
Not to sound cliche, helping people out at the same time. Really ran with it, and then I ended up, taking a pretty big leap, leaving the firm, diving into this face first. With mortgages, and now, I'm blessed with, people like you guys to have the opportunity to help, and at the same time, make sure that a lot of our clients are taken care of, educated, about the process. And I take a big, emphasis on that, because the mortgage world, the real estate world, the legal field, really anything, especially in today's day and age, social media, you guys all know, for me, is big. I think it's just having that as an outlet to educate clients, educate different people, let people know that the market's in one position, and I want you guys to understand the truth behind what position that's in, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And also, most importantly, like, this is not your only option, right? Or if it is, it's because of, your credit, your capacity, or this, or that. And then really explaining things in layman terms, to a client. I think sometimes some professionals may overlook that, whether it's time consuming or no immediate return in terms of, getting paid.
Right.
So I really, really push for that. Emphasis takes time, takes energy. This isn't a Monday to Friday, 9 to 5.
No.
Takes some creativity too, and nobody gets more creative than you, I think, when it comes to when it comes to getting it done and getting some clients that I've had that are just have been passed along because they're not qualified, and Abdel can get it done.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the industry, it's heavily regulated. You know what I mean? There's the creativity comes down to just understanding that specific client's position. Like, where you at? We've had some clients where, like, you own a owner-occupied home, but you can't go, again, owner-occupied home. So we set it up, as certain avenues, So I think it's the importance of just truly understanding there is no one-size-fits-all.
Definitely not.
Mortgage. A lot of clients, most of the times, they want to look at a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, and then the professional telling them no. And I'm like, well, why no? Why don't we expand our search to maybe a surrounding area, or understanding that if we add a cosigner, or understanding if you put a little bit more money down, or stuff like that. I think it takes just that extra 5 minutes on the phone.
That's
with a
it,
client.
though.
Yeah.
People not everybody wants to put in the extra time.
Or effort.
Yeah.
Both.
Effort, right?
Yes. Yep.
So and that's it. And I mean, it's for for anyone that's the God's honest truth. This has been one of the. I mean, listen, we're putting in the time and effort. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
This is a eyes open to eyes shut,
It's a grind.
Monday to Monday job.
Every day is Monday.
Yeah.
I was just saying.
Literally.
What day do we schedule a podcast on? Is there an eighth day? Because that probably wouldn't work either. Because morning, noon, and night, 7 days a week, you're on the grind for sure.
Yeah. So you just you make yourself available. I've got. Again, it's not me too, right? It's my processors, it's my assistants. It's obviously the amount of whatever I can do. The least I can do is pick up my phone 24/7, communicate with my clients, communicate with you guys as my partners, make sure you guys are good. Are there any resources that we could potentially put together and make, expand our search, expand our net? So the least I can do for my team is make myself available, pick up the phone, make sure they're comfortable in their work environment, right? Incentivizing them.
Got to keep Pam happy.
So, Pam's my backbone, I can't be successful without her, and I try to do whatever I can to make sure that she's successful and what she does in place too. If anybody's ever seen my reviews, it's always Abdel and his team, Abdel and his team, and Abdel and his team. And I think it's important for that. This isn't a one-man show. We all are one woman show.
It takes a village.
Right?
Literally.
It takes a village.
So
real estate is the epitome of it takes a village.
Yeah. So
the right village.
We put exactly, and you said it right. I was just going to say, you put the right professionals in place, the right teams, and the least I can do is get a client closed in a week, like you guys know, and push those hyper fast closings and hyper fast commitments and stuff like that. And if that gives our clients the extra leverage to if they're going through inspection requests and they're already mortgage commitment approved, it's a big deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Because I think it gives us extra avenues. If I'm getting a client quickly approved, title, you guys are good in terms of making sure that you're not doing a title search for no reason.
Right.
I'm sure it happens a lot.
It does. Too much.
So we make sure that we do that as quickly as possible. When we're pre-approving a client, it's not just, hey, I'm so excited to talk to you, which we are, but I want to make sure that you're fully vetted, where if we're going to the closing table, like, you're good. There is no, now I'll be the first one to say surprises pop up here and there.
Yeah.
And, not every deal is going to be picture perfect. But if there is something that pops up, I'm very transparent. I mean, we could talk forever on communication.
Mm-hmm.
Communication for me is probably more important than sometimes the house itself, because it's important for everybody to know what's going on. There's a lot of emotions. There's a seller on the other side, a buyer on the other side. A lot of emotions involved, and if we can just keep the communication open and transparent, and if there's an issue, everybody knows about it, and we're tackling it, and we're doing whatever we can to do it, that's it.
Yep. Agreed.
So
You touched on, we just all talked about the right kind of people, right? It's the right village. It's not just anything. I know that for me, I got back into real estate, and I had to re-educate myself and vetting people, right? Partners is everything, and you've spoken a bunch of times now about building relationships.
Yeah.
And for us, that's what Turnkey is all about, is building relationships, collaboration, communication. So we just want to know from your perspective, how does that play into your business strategies and real estate? Because, we always come up against you're on opposite ends of the deal, or aren't you competitors, or don't you want to do this or do that? So talk to us about building relationships and networking and what that means for you.
I mean, you brought a big word before, which was integrity. And I think a lot of different realtor professionals, I'm very, very transparent with my partners, probably more than 99% of people. I think it becomes down to loyalty, the importance of, I'm going to take care of my part, and we're going to work together. And there is no, this is my job, your job. We'll run into so many situations with inspection requests. And, I want to know, because we got to get the deal done together. So, or if there's something that's going on with the client in terms of the offer, or the listing agent saying the sellers have, dude, get me on the phone. And I think it's important to also make sure you mesh with the right people too, because, I'll be the first person to say, I don't click with every single person, right? Sometimes, You're going at it with an attorney. You're going at it with, a title company, a listing. I used to be really bad at that, right? Like really bad, And then eventually, I think you kind of slow down. Sometimes you just want it to spit out for the love of making sure that our client is the most important thing that we protect, right? So sometimes I was the one that was like, screw you, or this or that, or no, you don't. And then now it's totally toned down. I think the Hulk had to kind of like, the gorilla had to slow down.
Yep.
And I
Take
think
a pause.
I think it's more of like understanding, well, what's the situation?
Right.
How can we mediate it? How can we communicate with our clients?
Mediate.
How can we make sure exactly?
Yes.
And where can we reach a common ground?
Yeah.
And I think it's also understanding that if there's a certain point where you're just on two completely separate sides of the spectrum, then it's understanding, quicker than normal that, maybe we throw in the flag and move on, right? Which we've had numerous times.
Yep.
A client where I'm like, dude, we're getting nowhere,
Yeah.
And I think it's identifying that quickly.
Getting nowhere fast.
And sometimes with referral partners, I think it's where you find the right ones is I'm very geographical in nature, like I had mentioned to you, especially, with my agent partners where I think I've got my go-to here and I'm good, right? This isn't a business where you need to talk to 10 million
Right.
different people and do deals with 10 million different people. No,
Agreed.
the God's honest truth is you have literally on a hand 5 different solid
Quality,
partners,
not quantity. Right? Yeah.
and it makes geographical sense where the person lives here, works here, operates here. You're my go-to partner within those areas, and then simultaneously work around that. That's usually been my approach.
And you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Like, the work ethic. You know how the deal's going to go. Like, makes life easier.
And there's resolution, and that when you're working with those people, we're all working together for the end goal, which is closing.
To close the deal.
Right. To close the deal.
And I think when we obviously work with buyers together, so when you can present to the listing agent, listen, this buyer's using my entire team.
Yeah.
They're using my lender, they're using my attorney, they're using my title person. It's going to be a seamless transaction.
You're
Done.
taken care of. There's support,
it.
there's stability. They know that they're not going to have to worry about,
Right.
wait, who's that? Where am I going? How do I do? What are those people? It's no, this is a team,
Right.
and we play that way.
Yes.
Yeah, reputation plays a big role in
Playing
anything,
nice in the
right?
sandbox.
Yeah.
It goes a long way. You'll learn it in preschool.
Yeah, so reputation plays a big role. When we're reaching out to listing agents, sales attorneys, I mean, how many times have I talked to the sellers
Yep.
personally, directly? I don't
Yep.
have to. But it's like, listen, dude, this is a situation, or this is what we got, or, my client can close easily in 2 weeks, or, I apologize for the prior lender. I know they dropped the ball, or whatever the case may be. I'm here. I'm pushing things through as quick as possible on my end to get the deal to the closing table. You're going to know everything that's going on. I call it the John Madden playbook, literally, where you're getting emailed. Appraisals ordered, appraisals back. This is done. This is that.
It's the best. Those emails are the best.
yeah.
I remember the first one I got, I was like, wow, that made it real easy. I'm a visual person, and it was like, title.
Yeah.
Color coded,
Yeah.
everything. It's perfect.
Yeah. So I think, you put the systems in place, even same thing, talking about
That's good.
systems.
Yeah.
My processor, deals done, deals approved, mortgage commitments attached, table of conditions, here you go. Attorney, we need this from you. Title, we need this from you. Agent, we need this from you. And I'm spilling all the secrets, but that's the God's honest truth. I think it's as long as it's systemized. You have certain adjustments with some clients who maybe are not as technologically savvy, so you gotta pick up the phone.
There's
right?
a
You guys
novel
remember?
concept.
You guys remember the little reel I put up about picking up the phone? And I think that's really it.
Yeah.
So let me turn my alarm clock. Excuse me.
Take your vitamins, Abdel.
That was nice.
It's time to
Live-
take your
live
vitamins.
action here.
So yeah, I mean that's my reminder for lunch. I mean it's noon right now, so I think it's just like
Isn't it funny that we have to set alarms to remind
eat.
ourselves to eat?
Funny, I don't need that reminder.
I still haven't eaten yet. Oh,
No,
no, that's a
we're
lie. I had a tiny
She said-
little bag of oyster crackers on my way here that I found
Oh,
at the
I don't know if
office.
that's considered really
They're like my favorite snack.
eating.
Nice.
Yeah. I could eat croutons. all day.
Anyway, so let's talk about the market and the rates. And everyone's freaking out.
so.
Why should
I was
they
waiting-
not?
waiting
Why
for
should
This
they
was coming.
not?
This was the
I was gonna say,
yeah.
you guys can just go on my Instagram because I shoot a video all the time.
Oh,
Keep you guys in
yeah.
the loop, and you guys are good. But so all right, so check it out. So the market right now, we all saw 2020, 2021, COVID, obviously curveball came out of left field. Nobody thought that interest rates were going to drop as much as they did. Nobody thought that the Fed was going to spend 40% of the economy in the last 2 years in terms of stimulus checks, funding bailouts, and all that stuff.
It hurts.
So, with all that happening, we're now obviously reaping some of the repercussions from it. So 2020. So this is obviously being shot in 2023. So 2022 was like two different completely tales, right?
Yes.
The first 6 months, 5 months, we were still cranking away. Rates were still slightly going up. We were still in the 3s and the 4s.
And people were freaking
And
out about
yeah,
it.
people were going crazy. You know, we've been doing it for a while. So the days of 4, 5s, and 6s are normal.
They're
right?
that's
really,
like a
really
normal
5s
market.
and really 5s and 6s are
Yeah,
normal.
even when the market crashed in '09, that was like, wow, I'm getting 5.25. This is incredible.
Yep.
Yeah, my first house that I bought 2017, it was a 5.625, which was like my loan, my hookups, you know, all that 9 yards. So, you know,
Right.
I do tell that to some clients, you know, most importantly. Now 2022, we're now catching kind of like the end of what we saw of the 2021. So what happens is everything is data driven. And I'm going to try to keep this as like in layman terms as possible because it is super confusing. A lot of the times I'm reading an article and I'm like,
I have to Google.
I gotta read it.
sometimes,
No, I gotta
right.
like reread it. Like
I get to
4
a
times.
word and I'm like, hold on, open
Yeah.
new tab. What does that mean? Okay, go back.
I'm glad you brought that up. So a big thing that I do too, and my wife has been the one that's pointed that out. She's been hearing me on the phone for almost 6 years. You know, talking to clients. She goes, "Dude, you need to slow down. You need to stop talking in abbreviations, right? LTV,
Acronyms. They're my
ARV,
HE
this,
double
that."
L.
We did that
So-
great video
yeah.
breaking down the acronyms.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now I've always been like, if I say it, I slow down, I explain it. But going back to it, so what's happening right now is the data that we get. So there's two main things that right now is the main topping points, and that's unemployment and employment, and then inflation.
Yeah.
So inflation is really measured off of the most important thing, which is CPI, which is Consumer Price Index, how people are spending their money, and sometimes the cost of things, right? So we all know eggs, gas, milk, right?
Say milk
Is
again.
starting
How'd
to
you
go
know?
up, right?
I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah. So what we're starting to see now is data readings from 2022, right? Because this is now being shot in February. So we kind of let go of 2021 when industry was crazy and people were spending their money like crazy and stuff like that. What I know is that confidently, February, if you remember, the beginning of February, end of January into February, rates started to go down because we got a really, really good readings of unemployment. We know that, unfortunately, people are losing their jobs, which for interest rates, we now diminish them because we want to make sure that people aren't losing their jobs too much. People still spend. And then we also have where people were spending less money, the Consumer Price Index, which we saw. People are losing their jobs. They can't spend money. We got to make sure things are cheaper. What happened, I think, over the last month, too, where I was telling to Shannon earlier, we got a pretty, what I call, misleading jobs report, where the jobs report came out, and if you remember, October was really good, November was really good, December was really good in terms of job reports and people spending less money. Then all of a sudden, this report comes out towards the end of January saying, wait, we actually gained 817,000 jobs, which made no sense.
Yeah.
Because we keep seeing on the news now, everyone's losing their jobs. Large companies are being laid off, stuff like that. So there's a lot of what I call that misleading job reports. A lot of experts are saying it too, where unemployment, as it was actually people were applying for more unemployment. This time it showed that they weren't. It made no sense. And that's where whatever their incentive, I have no idea. I can't comment on that. But I know that there was a lot of part-time jobs that were created, which we all know from the holidays. That's usually where people get jobs.
Right.
So it was a lot of that stuff. So I think this month was kind of that, like, exception where these reports that came out made absolutely no sense. A lot of experts even said they made no sense, where the jobs creation versus the jobs loss. If you removed a lot of those part-time jobs or some of that offset of numbers they didn't contribute last year, they lump summed it into this year. It's made no sense. But the three main dates for us to really keep an eye out for is March 10th. We're going to start getting unemployment readings for February. And I think that's going to show healthy in our terms, in terms of, yes, people are actually losing their jobs and simultaneously not able to get new jobs. And then we're also going to see March 14th, I believe it's 14th, we're going to get the new consumer price index, which is the inflation measurement, which I think is also going to show us where people are spending less money and stuff like that. So there are two big dates. And then the biggest date is going to be May 10th. That's going to be when the Federal Reserve is going to meet again, and they're going to make their decisions. I know they're going to make their decisions in terms of hiking their federal funds rate and stuff like that. And remember, the Fed hiking their federal funds rate is different than mortgage rates.
Right.
So federal funds rate is the overnight borrowing power for banks, short term. Mortgage rates, we all know, is your standard 30-year fixed long-term rates. So the short-term rates, what directly impacts is like car notes, short-term loans, things like that. It's like I got my pickup. I always used to get a car at like 1%, 2% max in terms of interest rate. I bought the pickup, it was 4%. And I was like, and I couldn't fight with the finance guy because I'm the worst. If you guys want to buy a car, I have to come with because I'm the worst person you take with you. Because I'm like, wait, what's this fee? What's that? And it was 4%, and I looked at him. And then he goes, don't even start. And you guys know I have like no other clothes except Got Mortgage's gear.
Right.
So I'm in a Got Mortgage's shirt. And the guy obviously knows that I run a mortgage company. And then he goes, you're in the market. I'm like, I know. And then I just signed it. But that's going to affect the short-term rate. So I think we will definitely, towards the end of spring into summer, I don't even know if I should say definitely because it's been a little crazy. But towards this spring into summer, I think we will drastically see that shift back with rates starting to diminish significantly.
I like that. Like 5s?
I think we should definitely start seeing the 5s. Because I'm telling you, at the end of January, I locked 4 clients, 4 of them in the 5s.
Yeah.
5.9, 5.75, 5.625, and I think another 5.9. And I was like, yes, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But
the rate sensitive clients, they need it.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that. So I always talk to my clients, and you've seen the pitch, right? Interest rates is one thing. And I hate that saying of marry the house, date the rate, or vice versa. It becomes so much more important. Shan, you were with me at the diner when we were talking to that client, right? He wanted to put 25% down, and I'm like, well, dude, why don't we take a look at the benefit between you putting 20% down as opposed to 25% down? Let's go over $20,000 in asking because let's face it, we know we all have to.
Keep more cash in your pocket. Yeah.
Or if you have to use the cash, if there's a shortage on the appraisal, we can bury the shortage within the loan to value and explaining those things.
Roll it in.
Again, taking the time to explain things to the clients. Yeah.
And analyzing it. And not even just saying, what are the rates? Let me look. But like looking at a whole picture. It's like, we have another event coming up March 1st, which is like a wellness. You can't just look at somebody's eye problem or something else. You got to look at the whole picture. And when you approach it from that, it lends to the whole picture of a loan, the whole picture of a team. It's like every part isn't standalone by itself. You're always looking at the full picture. And I think that when you take that and you put all those pieces together, you have the ability to see it through a lens that maybe other lenders don't take the time to do. Whether they want to put forth the effort or not, that's to be determined or not, but you certainly do. And your clients are successful in their transactions because of it.
Yeah. So there's that. And then the main thing, too, and I was going to point it out because you just did, was it's a supply and demand. It's always been, within this business. The market crash in 08, 09 that you reverted to, right? There was an oversupply of homes.
I'm old enough I was in it. He was probably like 12. Why does it always come back to age, and I'm the one that
I
gets
know.
aged?
It's true.
We need
But-
older people on our show.
So it's definitely a supply and demand, right, for homes. Right now, there's a very, very, very tight supply of
Yeah.
homes. It is starting to or get better, so to say. It's starting to get a little better because it's also timing too, right? Where as we generally gear into the spring and summer, that's usually where listings start popping up more. I literally have situations now. One contract, we're under contract. We're going to close at the end of April. The sellers are staying in the house until the end of June. So we've done that.
Common.
Yeah, so you do a UNO, you do a hold harmless indemnification, and you're good.
Define your acronyms, sir.
Yeah.
Use and
So
occupancy.
thank you. So you do a use and occupancy agreement where, if the attorneys and the parties understand it, the sellers are going to stay in the house. They're going
Right.
to keep their home insurance. And then the flexibility, again, of understanding, well, my buyer's lease actually expires at the end of June. And the sellers want to move out at the end of June. And we could come in at 100% asking for a $950,000 home and not have to pass $1 million, because then we fall into sometimes jumbo parameters. So there's so many things
Moving
that you
parts,
tied
yeah.
into it. And I think it's just understanding that stuff and explaining it to your clients. But we are starting to see a little bit more inventory.
A little bit more.
It's still tight, right? But main thing, some consumers do have some more competitive interest rates that they're holding on to. But I think when you sit down with a realtor and then the lender professional is introduced and so on and so forth, and you start seeing that price comparison, I'm telling you, a interest rate of 5.99% and an interest rate of 6.5% is not that much of a payment
Right.
difference. It just sounds cooler.
You're 100%, and people
And
don't realize
yeah.
that.
And I do that. I do that break-even point with the clients where, I'll offer if they want to pay discount points, which
Right.
is you pay to get a lower rate. And I'll tell them, listen, dude, you can. For me, again, I'm a direct lender. So if you have a 2% or a 10% interest rate, it makes no difference to me
Right.
from a financial perspective. But, if you get a 5.9 interest rate and it may cost you, let's say, $7,000 in discount points, but you're only saving about $150 a month, doing the cross comparison in terms of how many months is it going to take you to reap the benefit of that 7,000, and it's going to be, well over, I'm trying to do math quickly in my head, 3-4
me.
years, it doesn't make sense.
No.
Get this loan, refi it in the future. I'll waive the appraisal. We'll see what we can do with the application fee, and you're done and you're good to go. So
But that to me resonates as far as what you said earlier, and it comes back to mortgage knowledge, right? And it really comes back to the depth of somebody who takes the time to really see everything that can go into it. It's not a one size fits all. It's customizing for that client and what they're looking to do, because whether it's the sell, the finance, or the closing, it all comes back to what's best for that specific transaction. Not
Yeah.
even that person, but that transaction for that person.
Correct.
So
yeah, there's a lot of
Fun.
It's fun. There's a lot of
Fun.
predatory lenders out there, man. I'll tell you. I
Well,
mean, just like a lot
yeah.
of stuff, but we've had some situations where
Yes.
yeah,
I'm talking to some of her clients, and I'm like,
they said
Yeah.
what?
Well, that's what happens when you don't get with the team.
yeah.
Gotta
So
stick with the team. I work with 2 people. That's
yeah,
it.
So we've always
Keep it small,
Keep it small.
and keep it good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've always been blessed to understand what's the client want. Is it a payment issue? It's always down to 2 things. It's your payment and your cash to close.
Right.
Do you have the money that you need to close? And is this monthly payment within your budget personally and qualification wise?
Right.
And if we can get those 2 things checked off, I truly think, being blessed with you guys, I think everything else kind of falls into place. So
Blessed.
Well,
That is the.
we're blessed. We're so happy that you came on the podcast.
I have to
today.
say, speaking of blessed, and this
Yeah.
isn't like a weird thing, because he puts a lot of time and effort into his social and his videos, and it's not just to be out there, but he's really educating, because I was in this business 15 years ago, came back after I had kids, and literally had to re-educate myself because all the regulations had been changed since I was in it.
All you need to do is
Previously.
follow
Yeah,
Abdel on Instagram.
Well, that's
That's all you need to do.
that's what I did, and
What's
I remember.
your handle? Tell everybody your handle so they can follow you.
got_mortgages.
And that's what I did. I listened to his videos instead of glazing over, which
Yeah.
I just told him I have like no attention span when it comes to videos. So for me to pay attention, to process, and to get something from it, it spoke to me. And I literally went up to him and was like, I don't know you, but I follow you on Instagram. And
Yes.
that was
Yeah.
Oh, that was at our first mixer.
at
Yeah.
the mixer.
Yeah, that's right.
And at first somebody was like, God, that's so creepy. I'm like, is it, or is that a compliment
No,
to
I
what
think
he's
it's
I love it.
fantastic.
doing?
That's
right?
why we do that. That's
Right.
why we're on social.
It's the point of it, and you excel at it, and it's something that is very needed in a way that people can digest and understand it and trust you with it.
Yeah, I don't do it. I always get to think, well, I don't do it for the likes.
Right.
I don't do it for the comments. I don't do it. It'd be nice to have more, and nobody's gonna complain.
Follow him now.
But I truly do it because, especially if I run into a scenario where I'm like, oh, I just did a client. Remember the upfront mortgage insurance? He saved $16,000 up front and didn't have to put 20% down. And I'll literally grab my camera, shoot it while I'm walking my dog Rocky, and
Yeah.
we're shooting a video. We're having the green screen at home and shooting the videos, doing some together when we have ours. And it's just providing value, providing value back to the community. And if a client can say, hey, this guy kind of sort of knows what he's doing, and maybe I should call him up and say if he could help me out, all day.
And it shows that you care. It shows you're consistent because you do it every time, and that speaks to your professional values. So we want to thank you, Abdel from Got Mortgages, coming and sitting with us and always getting behind all the events and
Our
calling
crazy
us,
ideas. We appreciate it.
doing this self-defense
I love it.
workshop on March 8th at Century 21. And we look forward to a lot more with you going forward. So
Thank you.
thank you for your time. Thank you for being a preferred partner, and keep doing what you're doing.
Boom.
You're killing
Thanks,
it.
guys. Appreciate it.
Oh my God.
I almost did that.